Hi, my name is John Arboleda. I graduated in 1996 with a degree in Latin American Studies. I'm the Director of Special Projects and Innovation at IED Barcelona. I also own a small consulting firm, and I live in Barcelona, and I'm a UCLA Bruin. In many ways, UCLA chose me in the beginning because I was a community college student, and there was a college fair on campus, and someone from UCLA by the name of Alfred Herrera was there and promoting UCLA and had approached me about if I had considered attending UCLA. And I got to admit, UCLA was never on my radar. I just thought that was beyond my reach as is in the position I was at that time. And then having met Alfred, he just said, you should apply to UCLA. We have the major that you like, Latin American Studies. And a few months later, I was admitted. And once I was admitted, there was no turning back. My reasons for choosing Latin American Studies probably go back to my own background. I'm a son of Colombian immigrants. So being raised biculturally in Southern California, I realized I had this other part of me, this Latin American side of me that I really didn't understand. And the opportunity to study Latin American Studies, when I discovered that was even a major, provided me the opportunity to kind of deep dive and learning a bit about the Latin American history and backgrounds that are one part of my roots, which I really enjoyed. Being able to learn about Latin America through our professors, the coursework, the lectures, all the work that we were doing were really great. Latin American Studies also required me to learn more languages, so I could become more proficient in my Spanish language. I learned Portuguese along the way, and then when I look back at many years later, all that experience and the coursework and what I learned have been contributing many years after to my career work. When I discovered that the Education Abroad program actually existed, it was a natural choice for me to go and pursue it. And I decided to do the program that was in Argentina and Chile. And it was about a semester-long program that I participated in. So having the opportunity to experience, live, touch, and feel studying abroad in Latin America was a tremendous experience. And that travel bug has impacted me on many levels. When I'm looking back at this, 23 years later from my own study abroad experience, I think the first thing I would tell the student, number one, is do it. It's a transformative life experience that will produce benefits and value personally and professionally long after you've graduated from UCLA. So I would encourage students to really seek out, as challenging it can be in the beginning, new experiences, new friends, driven by your curiosity, and hopefully led and facilitated by some of the locals you're going to be meeting while you're there. And not losing touch with your US counterparts, but your study abroad experience is very individual. As a UCLA alum living abroad for the last 15 years, my family and I recently hosted 27 undergraduate students participating in a UCLA travel study program led by Professor John Arboleda in the Spanish department. And part of the experience that we did by hosting the students, by adding this additional element to the travel study program, has now led to some discussions that Professor Arboleda and myself are having with the International Institute, if there's something that we can do as an institution and with all the different kind of stakeholders can be involved on campus, and how to make study abroad a much more enriching experience. Because for many students, it can be study and fun, but I think it can be study, fun, and really impactful and transformative. And I think if we include the element of alumni living abroad as part of the learning and even of the learning experience, then I think we could be exploring a really rich, full, and impactful study abroad experience that even can be quite innovative in how we do it here at UCLA. And it fits in our DNA of what we do anyways. The students are going to have a great experience regardless. But the one thing is, how can we strengthen and deepen their UCLA experience in what they're doing when they're studying abroad? We talk about a global network. We talk about wanting to engage more strategically, but we also have to support that with actions. And so if we want to engage alumni living abroad, which is a strategic initiative across the campus and the Alumni Association, this can be one way to engage our alumni around the globe. It can be a way to support and complement our diverse travel or study abroad programs that we have across campus, and uniting kind of different strategic initiatives and objectives that we have, so that it's actually a win-win benefit for everyone. I never planned to have an international career. I never planned to live overseas. That was never on my radar screen. Upon graduating from UCLA, I discovered that there was a career related to education. And my first years after UCLA, I worked for the University of California Office of the President, and I was working for their office in the San Joaquin Valley, kind of leading outreach and engagement efforts across the San Joaquin Valley and engaging all of the UC campuses and laying the groundwork for what later would be UC Merced. I also then worked in community colleges, working on bridge programs, helping kind of underrepresented students gain access to university. I was supposed to go to graduate school here at UCLA, and before doing that, this travel bug that I had been infected with when I was a study abroad student, I decided that before I go to graduate school here, I was going to go and do my own travel experience, John's own journey abroad. And I left for 6 months on a journey. I went back to South America for 2.5 months, traveled all around South America on my own. And after that, I went to Europe for the first time, and I spent 2.5 months in Europe, in Spain, France, and Italy. And then I ended my journey crossing the United States for 1 month. During that time, I had an epiphany, realizing that I wanted to live and work in Europe. And I didn't know how that was going to happen. And that's also at the point in my life where I started listening to what feels right and not always what the right thing is to do or what other people expect you to do. And so I made that decision, and then I shifted courses, or actually I took out I took the map I originally had, threw that out the door, and had an uncharted map on how I was going to navigate my life to live and work in Europe. And Germany was not on my radar screen, but I moved to Germany, and there I had the opportunity eventually to go back into the world of education, where I worked 5 years closely with Duke University, and I was employed by Frankfurt University, launching a business school in Germany and launching an executive MBA program between Duke and Frankfurt University. And that was a great experience because I got to travel all over Europe. I got to work with talented working professionals across Europe and the globe. There's a small anecdote that I met my wife in Germany, who's from Rome, and my son was also born in Germany. And then afterwards, my wife and I sought out the sun. I'm from Southern California. She's from sunny Rome. I love Germany, but we needed sunny weather, and we wanted to stay in Europe. And so we spoke Spanish, and we decided that Spain would be our target. And then in Spain, I continued my career in I'd say international education, and I ended up working for SADE Business School, which is like one of the top 20 business schools worldwide. And there I eventually became their director of global engagement for all their alumni living across the globe. And on top of that, we set up a strategy on how to engage the international students who are coming to study at SADE and how to engage them. Because the concept of alumni engagement, student engagement in Europe is still developing and growing subject across Europe and for many parts of the globe. And so that was my career, was from Access to then working in Europe. I was still tied to education, but it was really about, I think, creating opportunities for students, for the institutions I was working at, how to expand their global presence, their global reach, their global impact in what we're doing. After my time as Director of Global Engagement at SADE, I started Not On Your Own, which is a consultancy that follows a philosophy that mine is very strong, that no one should be on their own, whatever they're doing, and how do you support them. And then I started consulting educational institutions, mainly across Europe and Latin America, on how to develop their engagement strategies and how to unite departments across institutions to drive engagement forward, to be able to do that. And I did that for a number of years, which I enjoyed. And then currently, in one of my other hats that I wear, is I work for a design school. So I've gone from traditional research universities to the business school world, and now I'm in the design world, which is fascinating, and leading innovation and strategic projects for them, while at the same time still doing consulting for a number of organizations. And so some of the lessons that I have is, number one, you definitely have to pursue your passion with purpose and have faith in that and trust yourself and the life that you navigate, that somehow it's going to take you in the right direction. And don't be afraid to take those detours, even if they take you across an ocean like I have. One thing that I think attributes to some of the success I've had in my career is that I've been able to develop a global mindset. And I think global is something that you acquire. So, and that means being able to put yourself in the shoes of others, understand other cultures, understand how things function, being able to communicate effectively across different cultural boundaries and challenges that you have. My advice for a student who'd want to pursue an international career, my advice would be, first of all, go study abroad. That's a big plus. Learn a language. And you have to be able, if you want to have an international career, it's very important for students to be able to explore what's out there. What are the possibilities that you have? What are the type of careers that exist? What are the trends happening? The other thing I would encourage students to be able to do is to seek as many opportunities as you can to start building your global IQ. I think developing a global IQ, and by global IQ I mean the thing about being able to step out of your identity or yourself, let's say based here at UCLA in the United States, and being able to understand what's happening in the world around you, and being able to understand that from different perspectives. That's going to develop certain competencies that are going to be really important, and I think and contribute to a successful international career. The other elements I would add for this are UCLA has a rich alumni network, and we've got alumni and students who are from across the globe. We have a richness of students from across the globe who study here. You can begin tapping into them for your network and understanding about what they do, what their families do, and tapping into that. On top of that, if you decide to study abroad, which you should, then you want to tap into your alumni living in other parts of the world. The other advice in doing this is leap and go for it. And there'll be a lot of challenges, a lot of unknowns in how you're going to do an international career. But there's no clear path on an international career. You must do this and this and this. You may do it through a multinational corporation. You may do it through working for an NGO, for a government organization. You may end up working for a company that will send you to be an expat, or you may do it in my way. I'm kind of a grassroots expat. I just went there and I developed my life that's there. UCLA is really about impact. I mean, it had an impact on my life when I first encountered it 26 years ago, and I never thought I was going to be there. And 26 years later, I'm sitting here serving on the board, being interviewed, talking about this. That's because of the impact it not only has had on me, but it's the impact that I see it has on people's lives. And the other thing I love about UCLA, it's not about receiving, it's a reciprocal relationship. That our role as alumni or staff or faculty or anyone who's affiliated to the university, UCLA welcomes people to contribute. Because UCLA is as strong as the people who are still engaged, connected, and contribute to it. It's important now, but it's become ever more important, especially as people start realizing that global engagement is not a trend. This isn't going away. This global engagement is something that needs to happen at an institutional level, at a country level, on a human level, and what better place than at UCLA and for university that touches so many different facets of society to impact and drive what its role is going to be.